Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. I'm Nathan Gobes, filling in for Jeffrey Davis this morning. We've got another segment of the Kings of Cannabis show with Walter Sullivan. Welcome, Walter.
Nice to be here, Nathan. It's nice to be able to be seen.
Thanks
and
for
not high, no.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Walter. Our next guests are Andrea Pearce, CEO, and Brandon Warren, COO of Royalty Group. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Great to have you. I mean, Andrea, I've known for a little while, and incredible entrepreneur. Anyone that can take care of people that are in the entertainment business can run any business she wants and be successful. Why don't you guys explain what you've done in the past and what you're doing now?
Well, thank you for that, Walter. I appreciate it. I have been up in the industry for entertainment for about 15 years, nightclubs, bars, restaurants, real estate, and licensing. And I've gotten to the cannabis business to and embark on a new adventure for which I could expend my skill sets and do things to help others. Seeing how cannabis could help medicinally was an impact for me and my family, with a brother on the spectrum and my best friend actually losing his tongue to cancer. So it kind of hit home and drove me to do what I do today. Built Royalty Group about 5 years ago and brought on my business partner, Brandon, about 3 years ago and took the ground running.
And Brandon, what's your background?
I've been in the cannabis industry actually for about 10 years out of California. And I've had multiple farms that I owned and operated out there and had a collective I was doing with a buddy for a while. And once the California industry went to rec, the same as it did over here, I decided to focus my energy in Massachusetts because the California market was so saturated. So
How do you think we're doing here versus California?
I think we're doing a lot better. It's a totally different market, totally different atmosphere than California. So a lot of the what do you call them, pioneers of the industry have been out in California, and I definitely learned from that experience and utilizing my experience over here to assist with this project.
I mean, you both bring a diverse background to something that is amazing, very much customer driven, and security issues and licensing and so forth, running nightclubs. What's your plan now in moving forward with developing a retail space?
We currently have secured 3 locations here in Massachusetts for retail, and we are still finding our facility location. And we plan to have a full operation of retail and cultivation and product manufacturing. Our focus is on doing what we can to be the change we want to see in the cannabis industry and in corporate America altogether. It seems to have lost its way, and we plan to try to do the best we can to make a difference with the people that come on board with our team, because our team is our number one priority, because without the team, you don't have anything.
Yeah, and your background is really, that's what it's based in. One with the people that worked for you and understanding how you have to be loyal to them and vice versa, so they do their job right, and then the consumer's using. You fit. It's a perfect migration into this business.
And it is, because when you work in entertainment, you have employees and staff and team members that those people are the ones that interact with other people. So you have to be emotionally intelligent to handle 2 tiers of people and understand that the people are what make the cogs in the wheel work.
Right. I think the other side, that's great in the sense, but okay, now what do I understand about cannabis? And that's where Brandon comes in.
Right. That's where I come in. So we are branding our retail shops under Tree Star. And I think one of the main things that kind of sets us apart from what we've seen in the industry thus far here in Massachusetts is we are giving back above and beyond the community impact fee directly to the communities in which we work in. So to homeless shelters, to after-school programs, to wherever fundage is needed within each community in which we actually
And that makes it beautiful because
shop.
they talk about the extras, but you're actually funneling the extras to what you see in the need in the communities you're in versus, hey, I'm going to give extra money to the town or the city
And
let them do what they want.
Right. Yep. That's definitely what will be setting us apart. It's kind of part of our brand. So it will be known in each location or each shop where exactly our funds are going, the extra funds we've allocated, and which programs we support. So
Now, you've been doing this for a while. You've had ups and downs. all in all, what do you think about how our system's been working so far? If you want to say that.
I
Incredibly slow, incredibly slow, but it is understandable with it being a new industry, but it's definitely been a slow, arduous process, slower than I imagined to begin with when we started off on this journey, that's for sure.
And it makes it hard in the sense because, I mean, you guys started your grassroots, you started on your own, and truly trying to do it correctly and develop a product that you can be proud of. When you're competing against multi-state loaded corporate America, it's hard to find locations and communities where it's all about the dollar versus the quality and the relationships.
Oh yes,
Right.
we've had our challenges for sure, and we're holding our own. So we're doing something right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think walking into and say you have 3 locations is an amazing thing to be able to say today, given how many people are still waiting.
Right, or still looking for locations.
Still, yeah.
So so 2 of our locations we're still competing for or in the host agreement process, and one of our locations we've secured the host agreement, are about to receive our provisional. So
Great.
one really close to actually.
And
getting
that's a big
started.
deal, just even to be in the game, because it's what you're competing against and the ability to convince local politicians and so forth that you are someone that you should really be looking at and what we're going to give back.
Yeah, it's definitely been it's been a challenge, but it's been a learning lesson as well, because you ultimately realize that the relationships that you build all along really do matter. Being in the entertainment industry for 15 years, met a lot of people, worked with the municipalities, had to do licensing, deal with fire, deal with police. You build these relationships. So
You've
now
got experience
bringing
with
that
them, yeah.
experience with them, now it's like, okay, so I understand how that works. So that's helped us a lot with getting the locations that we have in the municipality support for what we're going to be doing, because they see that, they understand, they recognize that when you know how to work with them.
It
not
makes a
against
difference.
them.
The best way to judge someone's future is somewhat looking at their past, and the ability to say, look, these are the things we've done. It has nothing to do with trying to promote the idea of we're getting in the cannabis business. This is what we've been doing.
We're promoting running a business the way it should be run and following the rules according to the municipalities, because we're impacting a great, we're pioneering a new industry, and we're impacting their communities between the residences and the businesses that want it and the ones that don't.
No, it's kind of a twofold for going to communities. One, finding a property that's zoned properly, that can either lease or is willing to sell, and the other is finding a community that wants you. Which they're both probably about the same as hard, but was it really hard to find a property, and especially since you want to lease versus own?
Definitely. I mean, just to get our real estate in each one of our places, we've obtained the leases. There was competition, so we got vetted, number one, by the landlords through multiple companies to get chosen by them before we even started with the municipal process. And then once you go through the municipal process, you get vetted again, interviewed, and then you have to get chosen as well to win the host agreement. So it's definitely different than any other industry.
What would you suggest to property owners in how to vet? I mean, you've been through this, you've seen, the idea is you guys have such connections to the community that you're doing, it's like, we are a good investment.
Right. I think that's kind of played in our hand as being local people and not being multi-state operators and being board members that are out of touch with actually what's happening within the community. That's benefited us. And I think that's definitely one of the positive aspects of what we bring to the table. What do you think?
I agree, and I feel if I could give anything to landlords, it'd be play nice now so we can play together for a long time.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are not.
No, and that's exactly.
It's like, okay, so you might have us now, but in 5 years when our lease is up, we will now then have the opportunity to do something different that might be better for our organization, and then you're left behind. Play nice now and help us all be a team and make money and do good and follow protocols and make the municipality glad that they allowed your location and chose us to work in your town. It's a collaborative effort to work together, and and understand that, yeah, there's a lot of money to be now, but what happens in 5 years from now when there's 200 stores open?
Right.
You know, like we could
The
all
industry's
fall apart
expanded,
because
the
you
zoning has
you
expanded,
you
you know.
built it
Right.
based on this now, but you weren't looking at what could happen later. And that's all we could ask of landlords is to, look at the big picture, not just the
Well,
now.
and that's a fact, because all you got to do is look at some of our malls that are
Right.
empty space because they had
Brick and
small
mortar
business
going out
there.
the door.
Is that,
Yeah.
okay, well, you're going up in the rent to such an extent, or you're doing this, you just care all about the mighty dollar. Well, guess what? You no longer have
Yeah, you're
that.
not leaving room for the mom and pops.
And malls have shut down and gone into bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Brick and mortars weren't looked at 20 years in advance on when everything's online. So they didn't foresee that the right way. They anticipated, well, we're going to charge you all this now, but most people don't even go to restaurants anymore.
Right.
They
And-
order out and have it brought to them. They have all those delivery driver services. I talk to restaurant owners in my community all the time, for which we frequent them, and they say 60% of their business now is delivery. People don't even come in to eat anymore.
It's so easy to deliver because there's so many companies out there. I mean, I think the other side is that, especially if you're a property owner that owns a number of properties in the community, who you lease to for a cannabis business not only has an impact on that particular property, but can impact you throughout the whole town.
Right.
So make sure
Yes.
it's someone that your community is going to feel connected to. They're going to like, they're going to trust, and they're going to want to be in your business. They want you to be in your community. That makes a big difference than just looking at that fast buck up front.
Yeah, that's I think a lot of the landlords get big eyes when they see the dollar signs coming in from a lot of these larger corporations or larger people, because they're basically offering an open checkbook. And I know that the landlords that have worked with us have definitely chosen us because we're local, and then they've also, had to maneuver down with their dollar signs to work with us, because we're not an open checkbook and we're not just throwing money out there.
And in the long run,
frivolously.
they'll do well, and they'll also protect their property there as well as somewhere else, because there is that sense of playing as a group, playing together,
It's a
and everyone
partnership.
benefits.
It's
Partnership.
kind of a
Thank you.
partnership, right?
It's a
Yeah.
partnership, exactly.
Now, on the local side, what do you think? On the communities, what would you tell them?
I would say the same sort of thing. I think you want
Yeah.
operators that are real people, that are of and from your community, that care about your community and care about your town and the energy they bring and the energy they put out there and what they produce. And I think that's really important, rather than not having a connection with the people operating in your town, and it's out of state board members or whatnot, and then there's just not that local connection. I think
Yeah.
that having real people there that are there every day, shaking hands, seeing people, and being responsible operators, I think that's a winner.
Well, and I tell all my clients, what's your story? How do we get a connection into that community? And that makes a big difference. They feel like you're part of the community, versus just, hey, some guy's going to open some big
Just
company's
coming
going
to
to open a
make
store.
money and not create any goodness from that. So
And that's really getting towns to focus more on the story versus the dollar.
right.
And doing the right thing.
That's
We
true.
find that, in some of the communities we were working towards, and we were in competition with other MSOs, and we were going in and we were doing the right thing, being in compliance, listening to what was going on. We're boots on the ground, so we knew when the laws were changing and things were going to affect not only us but a municipality. So in our processes with them, we tried to educate them along the way. Well, this is how this should be because this is how this just came out last week. Are you aware of this? Oh, we weren't. Okay, so let's, your bylaw should be this, or your, compliance regulations should be that, based on what was going on. Again, boots on the ground, we're always seeing what's happening immediately, and trying to choose companies that have concern for your being in compliance. We have these communities that wrote these host agreements that are
Right.
not in compliance. Now they're going to get in trouble. If you have a company that's coming in and says, this is how this should be because this is the law, we should follow it, that should matter, that they actually have a company coming in cannabis that cares about them as well,
Right.
and how they're going to end up and how they're going to look down the line. Because why would we want to be in a town that's now down, a year from now, 2 years from now, all over the news about XYZ? We see this happening in other towns where mayors are doing things and whatnot. So if you have a cannabis company coming in that's local and really truly cares not only about the community and their business and their employees, they're going to care about you, and that's going to matter in the end. Those are the companies
A
you want to
former
do business with.
elected official told me that if a politician tells you they're not thinking about re-election or higher office, they're lying to you. And the idea is that it's not just about the money, it's about how this is going to impact you on your re-election and so forth, and how your community is going to feel. And by really focusing on who you're doing business with, gives that community a sense of pride versus just a dollar amount.
Absolutely.
Get them?
Interesting. I think you guys mentioned it a little bit before, but what do you see as your trajectory for getting that first location up and running? When can people expect to be visiting? Or rough guess, if you...
Fall.
Fall?
Fall, winter this year. If,
And,
if things go the way we anticipate and hope at this point, at this moment, in this time right now, we hope by fall, winter to have our first store open. Obviously, beginning of next year, latest, but
Great.
yeah.
We're on track for fall or winter, and it's up in Tingsboro on the New Hampshire border. It's,
And that's a
right
big deal because they had a beauty contest up there, correct?
on- right.
Yeah, well, we were part of it.
And what I mean by, is that this just isn't anybody coming in, that they actually looked at, I think they had like 5 candidates or something?
No, they had 12.
12
I think it's
originally?
12
Yeah.
candidates originally.
And that was just with the town. That's not even counting the candidates that we got vetted against for the real estate. So
Oh, interesting. So-
Yeah.
I'm sure some people that weren't able to get real estate in the zoned areas were just not able to complete.
And that's a
Even
really big
compete.
deal, the fact that, hey, look at, the vetting process that we had to go through.
Yep, 5
It's-
with the real estate, and then 12 or 15, I believe, with the town.
Wow.
Right.
And then once we got through that first process of the 12 or 15, they picked their 6, and then we had an interview process. So it was a 3-step. The real estate, the landlords vetted everyone, then the town vetted everyone, and then they sorted out their 6, and then you had interviews with the town, with your team, and out of the 6, they picked 2.
Someone looking to get into
operate.
this business, what would you advise them? Whether to get into it or not, don't think that rose-colored glasses, I guess, don't go.
Well, I think it depends on how they wanted to get into it. There's so
Yeah.
many avenues for this industry, especially with all the ancillary businesses or opportunities available. I would definitely say your team matters, the people you work
Number one,
with.
team.
Everyone who's been successful in this, that's the truth.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta have a team.
Your connection, staying in integrity with how you move. There's a lot of people that are just in it for the quick buck and are motivated by greed. And I think really just making sure your relationships that you create with people are clean all the way through.
And this isn't easy money to make. This is a
Right.
hard business.
It looks easy from the outside, so
Yeah. But once you get in, it's definitely a different
No, and that's
world.
really people, they really don't understand what goes into running and operating a facility like this.
right.
Well, this has been a great conversation, guys. Thank you for joining me. I
Thank you for
want to
having
remind
us.
everyone we've been speaking with Andrea Pearce, CEO, and Brandon Warren, COO of Royalty Group. If somebody wanted to get informed, get in touch with you guys perhaps, or find out as things progress, how could they get in touch?
We have a website for which they can put their information in and will contact us. It's royaltygroupllc.com.
Great. This has been another segment of Kings of Cannabis with Walter Sullivan. Thank you for joining me, Walter.
Pleasure to be here with you.
We've had some great segments today from throughout the cannabis industry. Hope you guys return as your locations progress and everything gets up and running. We'd love to have you back.
Elvis is leaving the building now, right?
Elvis is about to leave the building. That's true. Want to remind everyone to please follow us on LinkedIn. We've got a growing community there, and subscribe to us on YouTube to see all of the interviews as they go live there and on our site, radioentrepreneurs.com. We'll be back with more interviews after these messages.